Welcome, brothers and sisters, welcome, friends. Today we've got a very important topic that I want us to discuss about. It's a very important topic. But let me put a disclaimer before we go any further. So if you are younger than 18 years and you don't have the condition that we want to talk about, I would recommend that you exit, you leave, you do not participate in this discussion. And if you are a female, this information is not coming directly to you, but somehow, somewhere, indirectly, it might be of help to you, especially when it comes to your husband, your friends, your siblings. You might use this information to just help them. And if you are a man, this information is for you. And especially if you've got the problem that we are going to talk about. Now, let me just share with you, there are so many things that can actually reduce a man to nothing, to make a man feel as if they are nothing, that can make them have an inferiority complex, that can make them feel useless. One of them is when they are married to a woman that does not believe in them, that does not respect them. That causes a man to start losing some level of self-esteem. And the second thing is when a man has got what is known as ED. ED is erectile dysfunction, or what is known as impotence. ED, erectile dysfunction. You know, this makes a man feel useless. A man might achieve so many things in life, but when it comes to this problem, when they have this problem, you know, they just tend to feel as if they are not human enough. They tend to feel as if what they are doing is not enough, and they tend to feel as if they are useless. They can't walk with their shoulders up high because they know they have got a problem. And this causes so much sexual problems, it causes so much social problems, it causes psychological problems. It's really a bad problem. No wonder today you are hearing so many people dying because they start prescribing medication for themselves, like Viagra, sildenafil, commonly known as Viagra. They prescribe medication for themselves, and the next thing you hear, no, when we woke up we found them dead, because they are trying all they could to make sure that they solve this problem. Now leave the prescription of drugs to the pharmacists. In this video, I'm going to show you, or rather in this lecture, I'm going to show you how you can reverse erectile dysfunction without synthetic drugs. So when you go on the internet and you type erectile dysfunction, you'll hear and you'll be told, or you are going to read, certain sites would say erectile dysfunction is not reversible, you cannot cure it, and you're going to find so many big terms that are there on internet sites that you cannot even explain, that you cannot even understand. But that's the reason for this lecture and this video on this channel, is to make those complicated things very easy so that everyone understands. And that's what we are going to do. I'm just going to show you a few steps that you're going to do, that you can do if you've got this problem. Now, when we are talking about ED, erectile dysfunction, when we are talking about ED, erectile dysfunction, this is simply a condition where a man is unable to initiate an erection and to sustain a firm erection during sexual intercourse. That means that the sexual life of that man and also the woman is going to be affected. Now, I strongly believe sexual intercourse is meant for people who are married. So mostly when you've got ED, you are unable to have an erection and you cannot sustain that erection during the sexual intercourse. And that's what others also call impotence. So that becomes a problem, meaning you cannot do certain things, you cannot enjoy your sexual life in your marriage. Now, how do you do it? Now, for you to know how to handle erectile dysfunction, erectile dysfunction is an abnormality. It's not something that is normal. First, you need to know what is normal. When you know what is normal, a normal erection, how it happens, then you'll be able to know how to handle the abnormal or what has gone wrong. That's one thing that you should do. Now, here is the information that you need to know. How do we know that this is the normal? So I'm going to show you a bit the various processes that happen in your body for you to have an erection, for a man to have an erection. These are the various steps that would happen. So at least if for you to have a normal erection, you need to have the following things. And I believe God, in His own infinite wisdom, created every human being, including women, with the following. One, a brain. Everyone has got a brain, a spinal cord, hormones. Apart from hormones, everyone has got blood vessels. Apart from blood vessels, everyone has got what is called muscles. Now, these are things that are very important. And if you are a man, at least you've got what is known as a penis. Got what is known as the penis. So these are things that are very important. Now, if you don't have any of these, if a man doesn't have any of these, or you don't have any of these, don't worry if you've got erectile dysfunction when you don't have these, because actually you are not a human being. You are not existing. You are not alive. So don't worry if you don't have these. But if you have these, just know that you were actually created by God and something has just gone wrong. So if for someone to have ED, the problem could be with the brain, a psychological problem, or maybe some problem with some chemicals in the brain. So it could be a brain problem. It could be a spinal cord problem. A spinal cord is just a connection from the brain that comes and gives some distribution of some nerves to the peripheral body or the other parts of the body. It could be that the problem is in your brain, the problem is in your spinal cord. It could be that the problem is with your hormones. Hormones are just the chemical messengers that are secreted from the production side, and then they are secreted to other organs of the body in order to effect some changes or activities. You should have blood vessels. Everyone actually has blood vessels, what you know as veins and arteries. The problem could be with blood vessels, or the problem could be with muscles. Everyone has muscles, or the problem could be with the penis itself. So here are the steps that happen, or these are the processes that happen. So in your brain, you've got what is known as the cerebral cortex. The cerebral cortex. The cerebral cortex is simply a part of the brain, mostly, the part of the brain which is on the frontal aspect of your brain, or on the frontal lobe. So the cerebral cortex, what it will do, it sends some chemical messengers. It sends some chemical messengers or some neurotransmitters in your brain that will come, and they are going to communicate with this structure here. Now, this structure is what we know as the spinal cord. The spinal cord. This structure is known as the spinal cord. So now, the spinal cord, when we talk about the spinal cord, when you touch just behind here, there are these bones that when you touch them, you feel as if they are circular. These bones, they cover what is known as the spinal cord. These are vertebral bones. So they'll start from somewhere just below your skull there, the occipital part of your skull. They'll start from there, they keep going down. So you've got a group of them, those that are found on the neck, the cervical vertebra, and then you have got like 7 of them. Then you've got the ones that are found where the ribs attach behind the thoracic vertebra. You've got like 12 of them. And then you've got the lumbar vertebra, you've got like 5 of them. Then you've got the sacral. As you go down, We've got the sacral and the coccyx. Now, the sacral part of the of your vertebra, of your spinal cord, the sacral part. For more information, or for those that want detailed information, S2 to S4, meaning sacrospinal vertebra number 2 and vertebra number up to vertebra number 4. This is what they do. They give out some fibers. Now, the fibers that they give out is called a nerve. It's simply some neurons, some nervous system cells that are connected. So it's a nerve. So they give out a fiber that is going to come. And when this fiber comes, what it does, it comes and innervates, or it comes and pierces a part of the penis. A part of the penis. So it will pierce this part. So I'm going to explain a bit what this part. So just know that this is the penis there, and then we've got these fibers that are coming to pierce. So this nerve is what is known as the pelvic nerve. So it will come, it will produce some branches that are going to pierce this portion of the black portion of the penis. And this black portion is an erectile tissue. Okay, it's a tissue that helps in erection. So it is called the corporal cavernosum. The corporal cavernosus. So the corporal cavernosus, what it does, it has got a lot of blood vessels. So many blood vessels. So many blood vessels. A lot of them, a lot of them, a lot of them, a lot of them. And then this blue part that you see, this lumen, the blue part that you see, it is what is known as the corpora spongiosum. We will not talk about this. Okay? So the corpora cavernosum, this part that you see here, the one that is innervated by the pelvic nerve. So the pelvic nerve will give branches that will innervate, that will pierce this part. And this part, we've said, it has got a lot of blood vessels. Now, this nerve that is coming from, the pelvic nerve coming from the spinal cord, you find it gives what is known as the parasympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system. So what we mean when we say parasympathetic branch, so the autonomic nervous system, it is in the nervous system. When you're talking about the brain and the spinal cord, you'll find there is this portion, or there is this part, what they call this part they call the autonomic nervous system. It's like a small brain on its own. So it produces two branches. It gives what is known as the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. So parasympathetic is what keeps us to be calm. It's what makes our heart not to beat very fast. You are calm when you are sleeping, you are calm when you are not scared, you are calm. You find your pupils are not too much dilated, you've got enough blood that is going to your stomach, your digestive system. In short, you are just in a calm mode. That's what keeps us calm, the parasympathetic nervous system. And then you've got the sympathetic nervous system. That's what makes us to feel anxious, to be in a panic, in a fight and flight mode. When you are scared, the lion is chasing you, you'll find your heart is beating too fast, your pupils dilate, less blood is going to... That is the sympathetic nervous system. So this branch, the pelvic vein, this pelvic branch is going to give us what is known as a parasympathetic nerve. So the parasympathetic nerve, when it comes and pierces this part of the penis, the corporal cavernosus, what will happen is this. Now, I'm just going to get this part, the corporal cavernosum, which is an erectile tissue, and zoom it here. So imagine this portion, the corporal cavernosum, is this part. And those small blood vessels that we said, a lot of them, one of them is this one. So I'll show you what happens here. And imagine these are smooth cells or smooth muscles that are surrounding this blood vessel, okay, on the corporal cavernosum. So cavernosus. So what happens is, this branch that comes from the pelvic nerve, what it does, it comes and innervates a cell of the blood vessel, or cells of the blood vessels in the corporal cavernosus. So when it innervates these cells, it produces a chemical that is known as acetylcholine. Acetylcholine. So this is just a chemical, a neurotransmitter. When it comes to the cells of the blood vessels, it is actually going to cause these cells, this acetylcholine, it is going to cause what is known as arginine. Arginine is simply an amino acid. When you eat your foods that are rich in protein, those proteins will be broken down into small components, and those small components that make up proteins are called amino acids. And among the amino acid group, there's what is known as arginine. Some of the amino acids or proteins, you ingest them, some are produced by the body. So now, no matter however you've gotten the arginine, it could be through your food, that arginine is what is going to be used. It is found in the cells there, in the endothelial cells or cells of the blood vessels. So the acetylcholine, it is going to convert the arginine, it's going to work, causing these cells to convert the arginine into what is known as citrulline, and also what is known as nitric oxide. So for this discussion, we'll not talk about what citrulline does, but we'll concentrate on what nitric oxide does. So once nitric oxide has been produced, this nitric oxide is going to come down to these muscle cells that are surrounding this blood vessel. So these muscle cells that are surrounding these blood vessels, when nitric oxide comes here, it is going to stimulate. So there is an enzyme here, an enzyme that was catalyzing the conversion of arginine to nitric oxide. It is called nitric oxide synthase. So when acetylcholine came, it catalyzed, it stimulated this enzyme to convert arginine to citrulline and nitric oxide. And then nitric oxide, once it's produced in your blood vessels, okay, the endothelial portion of your blood vessels, nitric oxide is going to come to the muscle cells, the smooth muscle cells that surround this blood vessel. And when it comes here, it's going to find what is known as guanyl cyclase. This is just an enzyme. So it's going to activate this enzyme. When this enzyme is activated, this enzyme in your cells, the smooth muscle cells that are surrounding your vessel, there is a chemical, or there is something that is called as GTP. So the guanyl cyclase is going to convert the GTP into what is known as cyclic GMP. So the guanyl cyclase has converted the GTP into cyclase GMP. So this cyclic GMP, what you do, it is going to now stimulate other enzymes in this cell. These enzymes, when they are stimulated, they are going to open some of the channels of these cells. So imagine what is happening here is happening to every portion of the smooth muscle cells that are surrounding the vessel. So it will stimulate some of the cells here. So these cells, it's going to stimulate some of the enzymes in this muscle cell that are going to further work to open some channels. These channels that will be opened here, they are going to facilitate, in your muscles you've got a mineral that is called potassium. So this cell is going to hyperpolarize, and potassium will start leaving these cells. So when potassium starts leaving these cells, what will happen is that these cells begin to relax. So if you are looking at them from this view, just imagine these cells begin to give room. They begin to relax. So when they begin to relax, what happens? This blood vessel begins to dilate. When this dilating just means increasing in size. So when this blood vessel begins to dilate, a lot of blood begins to calm in the lumen that is dilated. So a pool of blood, both in your systolic and diastolic phases, as your heart is pumping blood, you find that a lot of blood is going to come to this part. Now, this part, you remember, it is this part of the penis, the corpora cavernosus. So a lot of blood begins to come this side. So when a lot of blood begins to come, and this blood vessel begins to increase in size, it pushes down on these cells. So when it pushes down on these cells, this very portion, the corpora cavernosum, has got some emissary vessels. Emissary vessels, these are just blood vessels that when they see there's a lot of blood, it moves part of the blood from this portion, taking them somewhere. Now, because the blood vessel, because it's relaxing, it's dilating, and it's pushing on the smooth muscle cells, the smooth muscle cells begins to close these emissary vessels, and further increasing a lot of blood, where a lot of blood at the penis. And now you begin to see an erection begins to happen. So once that erection begins to happen, there is what is known as a full erectile phase. When this is when you just find the erection, as the erection is starting, it's called a full erection phase. And then when the erection becomes fully rigid, then that's like the final erection phase, or the rigid phase of an erection. That's what happens for someone to get an erection. Now, what you've noticed here is that blood that is coming to the penis through the arteries is going to be kept in the penis. And when it's kept in the penis, blood that is supposed to leave the penis is blocked. So meaning you've got a pool of blood, and this begins to bulge, and that's what we call an erection. That's what people see as if it's something that is so mysterious, and marvel about, and watch about it and everything. So now, what happens in the abnormal when you've got erectile dysfunction? What happens when you've got an erectile dysfunction is this. This is what happens when you've got an erectile dysfunction. So the problem, there can be so many causes, like we said. It can be due to a problem in the brain, the spinal cord, the hormones, and everything. But mostly the problems are the following. These are things that I want you to check out. The problem is that there is less blood. If you have a problem with your blood vessels going to the penis, and this is the common cause of erectile dysfunction. So you've got reduced nitric oxide. So when you've got reduced nitric oxide, what is happening is there will be less dilatation of the blood vessels, meaning your blood vessels are constricted, meaning they are reduced in size. So there's less blood that is going there. So you'll not get an erection. So what you need to do, you need to make sure that the blood vessels are not constricted, but the blood vessels are dilated, meaning they increase in size. And nitric oxide plays a huge role. So the other problem that I would want you to work on, I will tell you what you can do to increase the nitric oxide. So the problem that I want you to work on, if you are a diabetic, there is more likely, the likelihood of you having erectile dysfunction is high. So make sure you control your diabetes. We have a video where on our channel, True Sex Free, and also when you follow our page on Facebook, True Sex Free, you'll find videos on how you can reverse diabetes, not controlling it, but beating it completely, staying with a diabetes-free life. You'll find these videos. So I would want you to reverse your diabetes, and remember, in diabetes you've got high sugar. So because of high sugar, when you've got too much sugar is converted into fat. When it's too much, when it cannot go into the cells, it's converted into fat, and later onwards, those fats begin to deposit in this blood vessel and begin to form some plaques, what they call atherosclerosis. They form some plaques in your blood vessel, reducing the lumen of your blood vessel. So there will be less blood that will be going this side. So whenever you see erectile dysfunction, actually you should not just be concerned about erectile dysfunction. Start also being concerned about heart problems. start being concerned about diabetes, because it is actually an indicator to some point that your blood vessels throughout your body might be clogged, not only the blood vessels of the penis, going to the penis. So make sure you control your blood vessels, I mean your diabetes. And if you are a smoker, make sure you stop smoking. Stop smoking. Smoking constricts blood vessels, so you will not be able to reverse this condition if you keep on smoking. So stop smoking so that your blood vessels are not constricted. Also, if you are on certain medication, certain drugs, like hypertensive drugs, so if you are on certain drugs, like hypertensive drugs, make sure you talk to your doctor who has put you on those medications. If you noticed that your erectile dysfunction started when you started your medications for your hypertension, then talk to your doctor, explain to them, they will change your drugs. Or also you can find videos that will post in the future about how you can control and actually how you can completely recover from hypertension. Other drugs such as statins, those who are on they are called cholesterol lowering drugs, statins. These drugs, what they do, they lower the amount of cholesterol in your body. So when they lower the amount of cholesterol in the body, cholesterol is what is used to make what is known as sex hormones. And part of the sex hormones group is what is known as testosterone. Now, testosterone is a hormone that actually plays a huge role in erection in men. So if you lower your testosterone so much, I mean your cholesterol so much, you are going to have maybe problems at some point with testosterone, and the end result then will be you will have what is known as erectile dysfunction. So not only this, but also I would want you to reduce your stress levels. So I would want you to reduce your stress levels. So stress also contributes very much. I know this might affect you in one or the other, but if you are ever stressed, make sure you reduce your stress levels, because stress is actually not good and it affects your brain and then causing an effect on the neurotransmitters that are supposed to come and also do these activities. So make sure you do what? You reduce your stress levels, and then just trust and believe that all things are going to be well. Things that you cannot change, there's nothing that you can do about it. But for erectile dysfunction, this is something that you can change. Stop being anxious. Anxiety is not a good thing, so stop being anxious, because when you're anxious, what you are doing, you are stimulating the sympathetic nervous system, which makes you to be in a fight and flight mode. So a fight and flight mode actually makes you not to sustain or to have an erection. Just imagine a lion is chasing you, and then you want to, because a lion is chasing you, you want to have an erection. You can't have that erection because you are scared. So that becomes a very big problem. So stop being anxious. So after you've dealt with these things, so now these are the things that I would want you to do. These are the things, because talking about all these things then without giving a solution on how you can go about this, it becomes pointless. So these are the things that I want you to do. Make sure you increase your nitric oxide. How can you increase your nitric oxide? Start exercising regularly. Exercising regularly. Apart from exercising regularly, when you exercise regularly, what will be happening is that actually you'll be taking so much oxygen, and when you take so much oxygen goes and plays a huge role that helps in relaxing these blood vessels also. And apart from that, when you're exercising, you are causing your blood vessels to actually dilate. So exercising is going to help in dilating. Exercise at least even 4 to 5 times in a week. Apart from exercising, start taking foods that are rich in nitric oxide. Foods that are rich in nitric oxide, they have what is known as nitrates. So these nitrates can be converted into nitric oxide once they go into your body. So start taking foods such as carrots. So carrots provide a huge amounts of nitric oxide. So it can give somewhere around 92 to somewhere 195 milligrams when you are getting 100 grams serving. Start taking things like beetroots. Beetroots, you can make juices, you can eat them like that. And these beets, when you are taking them, beetroots, actually, they would rise your nitric oxide levels with 21% in 45 minutes. So they are actually very much good. So take beetroots. Apart from this, take what is known as lettuce. Lettuce is very good in providing nitric oxide. So it can give you somewhere roughly from like 13 to 267 per 100 grams serving. Okay, grams. Take things such as spinach. Spinach is also a very good provider of nitric oxide. So spinach will also help you so much because it can give you to somewhere roughly around 190 something to 367. 24 to somewhere 337. You can also take what is known as bok choy. So when you talk about bok choy, it's also another vegetable that you can be taking. These foods are widely available. You can find them in supermarket stores, you can find them on the market. Take things like garlic. Take things like your seeds and your nuts, your cashew nuts. Take your ground nuts, your almond nuts, your almond nuts. Take all of those seeds and nuts. I want you to start practicing what is known as nasal breathing. So here you've got what are known as the paranasal sinuses. There is a plenty amount of nitric oxide. So if you are breathing through your nose, especially when you're exercising, you'll find you are going to drive most of this nitric oxide and it's going to be pushed into your blood vessels and they'll become so much useful to you. And then one thing I also want to do, if you are obese, you are too fat, I would want you to reduce your weight. There's also a video that we are going to publish on our channel that talks about how you can reduce your weight without focusing much because many people do exercise much and not concentrate on their diet. So there is a simple way, and what happens, they don't lose their weight. So there is a simple way in which you can do this. So I would want you to do this. Stop smoking, stop taking sugar. There are so many hidden sugars nowadays. You may not ingest it directly, may not eat it directly, but the food products that you buy from your supermarket stores, from your shops, you would find that these products actually, when you turn them and check behind, they will show you the amounts of sugar that is in that food. So read and you find that most of these drinks, most of these foods have got huge amounts of sugar, which is not a good thing. So make sure you reduce all these things because sugar is going to cause plugs and clog your vessels. So once you start doing this, these are the side effects. The side effects of following this is that you will be healed. Your erectile dysfunction will come to an end. So make sure you work on this. There will be nothing like, no, I took Viagra and then I did this and done that. Because when you take Viagra, what happens is actually Viagra comes and there is an enzyme that destroys GMP. So what Viagra does when they give you Viagra, it comes and stops this enzyme so that you've got lots of GMP in this pathway. And when you've got lots of GMP in this pathway, that would mean that actually you are going to enhance the relaxation of your smooth muscles and everything else happens. But now a drug, what it does not work hand in hand with your body. It just goes and it works despite how your body or how excessive the process is happening. You find that the drug will not even care, will just come and act not to complement your body, but to just go. Where is the problem? Okay, let's go there and cut, which would actually lead you sometimes to have so much over-dilated blood vessels, not only on the vessels of the penis, but also vessels of the other parts of your body. So if your blood vessels are over-dilated for a long time, you can go in what is known as hypotension, meaning your blood pressure goes low, and hypotension kills faster than hypertension. So you can try to avoid some of these prescription and non-prescription drugs and stick to things that are straightforward and things of which even if you eat them, you'll still not die because it's food. So try them for a couple of 4 to 5, 6 weeks, and then give me feedback when this has worked for you. Don't keep this information to yourself, share it with others. May the good Lord bless you. We love you. Take care. Have a blessed day.